Welcome in, everybody, to the Coaches Show live from the quarters. Josh Schreiber alongside me,
Allie
Allie
Palmieri.
Palmieri. Allie, thank you for joining me here for the first episode of the Coaches Show this year, season 2. And how have you been? How has this semester been for you?
I would say it's been pretty fun. I just started my master's program, so it's been very different, but I kind of like it. A lot more free time.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of practicing, so you've been here at UMass for the past, this is your second year here now,
Yeah.
but your first year playing. What has changed for you? Because you were practicing last season as well with the team, but not able to actually play in
hmm
games. What has changed for you now preparing for a season where, not that you weren't preparing for a season last year, but knowing that you are going to be a vital part of this team?
Yeah, I would say last year I just worked on like getting my confidence back, getting more in the rhythm. I was coming off an injury, so there was like a lot of like just finding my groove back, making sure like I still have my game, and obviously just like getting accustomed to his system. And then this year it's more so like really making sure I have everything down, kind of knowing the plays, knowing the concepts, knowing what he's looking for, and just like being able to be what he needs at like the guard position. So kind of just like more so hearing more feedback and knowing like when I step on the court that he has confidence in me because I can actually like step on the court this year.
Yeah. And how has preseason been for you on the court, gelling with all your new teammates?
I think it's been pretty good. Like I think we have a very competitive group. It's been like every day is like a dogfight. It's like we have very mixed teams. Like every day is never the same lineups. So I think it's been fun to get to play with everybody and just like see everybody's different strengths, and then just like go against each other and really just try and win every time.
Yeah, and you're finally healthy now. You went through a lot of injuries throughout your career at BC, Seton Hall. Now, this season, how difficult was it for you this past year, or I guess last season,
hmm
to have to sit on the bench and not be able to go out there and help your team?
Yeah, it was definitely one of the hardest things ever. Like because it was just such a long year. But just like being able to practice and being able to still like get extra work in was definitely like made it bearable. And then just knowing that like I was still friends with the teammates. I wasn't like having to sit at home like when they
Right.
traveled. So I was there. It's just I got to watch and like learn instead of just be at home. So it was still fun.
Yeah. And I think there was one point last year, maybe in late November or something. There was a
hmm
new court ruling that basically said that people like you in your situation who had transferred for the second time, that you could have played at some point throughout the season, but that would have counted as your year of eligibility. Ultimately, you decided not to go ahead and do that, continue to sit out for the year, and keep your eligibility for this season. What went into that decision?
I think like part of it, or like one of the biggest things for me personally, is that I had 2 years left, and I wanted to have 2 full years. Like I wanted to be able to like have the chance to prove myself in the whole summer preseason, not just like wasn't clear from my injury until middle of November as it was. So if I came back then, it was like, how am I going to get just thrown into the bunch? I don't know anybody on the team yet because I was just transferred, and I hadn't played. Like I hadn't gotten back into my rhythm. So I was like, as much as I loved play, like want to get back on the court and was itching, I was like, I'd rather just have like the chance to find my groove, to have them build confidence in me, build confidence back in myself, and just like watch and learn his system since I was already doing that for a few months before.
Yeah, and I don't remember the exact order of it all, but
Yeah,
when you came to UMass, you were one of the first transfers that Coach Leflar
committed to him.
had,
Yeah.
yeah, as a head coach here at UMass. What was that process like for you where, you're committing to a team where you're not totally sure what the coaching staff is going to look like,
hmm
what the team is going to look like, but you still make that decision and put your trust in Coach Leflar. What was that whole process like for you?
I would say I knew Leffler. So out of high school, Leffler had recruited me with UMass. When I had transferred from Boston College, he had recruited me. So just like to know that he still had faith in me, still know who I was as a player, as a person, and that he still wanted me after I had gone through 2 seasons of not playing much, coming off of injuries. And he said, you're the same player I knew. Like I still want you." So just hearing that, like he still had faith in me and still believed in me, was all I needed because I just wanted to have one more chance to prove myself.
Yeah.
And I knew that UMass had like the culture, the facilities, like the people that cared and invested into women's basketball. So it was just like a good fit for me.
Awesome. And were there specific things while you were, sidelined with just not being eligible to play?
Mm.
Were there specific things that you were working on? You mentioned your confidence, but more so on the court. Were there certain parts of your game that you were trying to refine that maybe you wouldn't have been able to had you had to prepare for each and every game?
Yeah, I would say biggest thing is definitely shots, like working on shot selection, being more of a consistent three-point shooter, and being more of a consistent three-level scorer, like not settling, not just taking, but like getting to my spots. And then honestly, just being a better passer, like being able to, if I draw somebody's help, like pass it, find whoever's open, so that way it opens the floor up more for me as well. So
Yeah.
all
And
around.
do you have any specific goals? I guess personal. We'll get into team goals as we go
Mhm.
on, but do you have any personal goals for yourself this season? Hopefully, like you're gonna have a primary role on this team. Do you have any personal goals in that sense?
I don't have any personal goals yet. I kind of want to like get my feet
Yeah,
wet
yeah.
and just like see the first few games and then kind of go off of that. But I do want to just like have a positive impact and like my one of my biggest things right now and like my coaches are kind of pushing me is to be the same player on defense as offense. So kind of challenging myself on the
Yeah.
defensive end right now would be my biggest.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about the team now. Going into
Yeah.
the season, I don't know if you've seen the preseason polls or
Mhm.
anything like that.
Oh yeah.
UMass, all the way down there, I think it's 13. Obviously, some of that is just a matter of what happened last season and
Right.
all that sort of stuff. But this is a completely new UMass team. You got a lot of new players, new coaching staff as well. Obviously,
Yeah.
the
Additions and
the
stuff.
core of the coaching staff remains, but you're adding on extra help. What do you hope to prove to people around the A10, whether it's fans of other teams, fans of UMass as a whole? What do you hope to prove to them?
I think last year was definitely like a building year. But I think just having that year, like we have 7 returners, so I think 7 returners isn't a full team.
No.
So we just brought in a lot of like huge pieces, and people don't know that. Like the people that did the rankings, I don't think know how vital our pieces are that we brought in, and how much help they're going to be. So I think that's going to be a big part of it. And then just like the consistency and like development that our coaches have put in with the returners, I don't think is like recognized yet. So I think it's going to be like a big wake up call.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you talk about all the new pieces that have been added. Is there anyone in specific that you think could be, that you've been super impressed by? Maybe it's someone who developed a lot that's a returner, or someone that, you've never played before, or a freshman, or anything like that. Is there anyone in particular or any group of players that have really caught your eye?
Um, I don't want to like single out
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
but I think just like the way we play together, like I think compared to like any team I've been on before, is just like one of the most competitive environments I've been in. Like you could honestly throw any 5 of us out there,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be competitive. Everybody wants to win, and that's something I haven't like fully been a part of at UMass yet. So I think just like seeing that makes everybody better, and just like going against each other.
Yeah. And I guess getting out of basketball now,
Yeah.
I want everyone to be able to get to know like the entire roster, off the floor, on the floor, and that's a big
Yeah.
kind of thing that's pushed by Coach Leflar and the staff here is you're more than just basketball players, you're more than just athletes. So I'm going to go through some rapid fire stuff with
Okay.
you right
Let's do it,
now.
yeah.
We'll start off, what's your major, or I guess, well, you're now in the graduate program. What
Yeah.
are you studying right now?
I'm getting a master's in business and data analytics.
Nice. Are there any specific classes or professors you've had that you've really liked?
I really liked Professor Spencer last year. I took a science of sleep class, and that was like fascinating.
Yeah.
Learned everything and more about sleep and like how to get the best sleep. So I thought that was really fun. And then right now I'm taking an Excel class. It's like all Excel, whatever, like Ninja or something. So I think
Yeah.
that's really fun.
Go-to dining hall on campus.
Burke.
Burke, what do you get at Burke?
I think they have the best lunch. So
Best
I love the
lunch?
wraps.
I'm a big rap fan myself.
Yeah.
When I was on campus, I'd go to Burke every day. I've gone to Frank a little more because all my
never been.
classes. You got to try the deli bar at Frank. It's
Okay.
I think the best kept secret on campus They've got the it's just the Burke Deli with more options,
Okay.
and it's a little bit less busy as well. So that's my go-to.
I
But
like Wit too, like Whitmore for
yeah,
the wraps. So
Wilmore is really good. One of our, of course, you and I both know her, Kate Bolger, one of the
yeah.
uh, managers of the team. We went to Whitmore today, so
Oh, okay.
good. It's a good spot. Favorite, I guess, when you go to Blue Wall, what are you getting there?
Um, Probably wasabi. It's like the
Wasabi?
Japanese
Yeah, yeah.
Asian, but yeah.
Awesome. TV show you're binging, or you would binge, or you have binged.
One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill. Favorite movie?
Grown Ups.
Grown Ups. You like Grown Ups 1, 2?
One. I
1.
think everyone after is just a little more
Yeah,
corny.
yeah. I feel that. Uh, you have a. I know that Burke is your go-to. There's a lot of food-related stuff. I think this is
Yeah,
more of
I'm a foodie, so it's okay.
Yeah, I am too. What is your like favorite pregame meal that you have? Is there anything that you have to have before you have a game?
I would say like maybe gummies or like some kind of like sugary thing, candy.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect it. And then, do you have any superstitions that you feel like, whether it be like something you've done since you were a kid, um, it could be basketball related. It doesn't have to be.
Not necessarily. I just like to get like a good night's sleep the night before.
Yep.
So I would say that's the biggest thing.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Allie, for joining us here on the Coaches Show. We'll have head coach Mike Leflar coming up when we come back. But thank you, Allie.
Thank you
And
for
we'll
having
see you
me.
next time. Quarters here with Coach Leflar. And Coach, how's everything been for you? How have the vibes been of the team?
Josh, thanks so much for having us back here. Big thanks to George and the quarters. Always love this place. Probably visited, man, half dozen or so times over the off season. Just with my kids, really a good spot. But vibes with the team are great. Honestly, really great feel around the group. It's been that way probably since a few weeks after we ended last season. The group that was coming back was really engaged and bought in and understood that I wanted to raise the level of expectations and how we were going to do things. And the newcomers that we've brought in, freshmen and transfers, have really just done a great job fitting in, but also helping us put a new spin on things. And I'm really impressed with the group on the court. We're bigger, stronger, faster. Off the court, we're much more engaged, connected, just much more, a team that's much more like me and like my coaching staff, to be quite honest with you, from a personality standpoint. And that's important.
Yeah, and I know you talked about in the press conference last week how you feel like this is your first like real year as a head coach. Obviously, you're still very much the head coach last season, but can you just talk to me about the differences between recruiting, what it was like when you came in last season, to what you were able to do this season?
Yeah, I say that, and I think people in the profession understand what I'm talking about, and people around sports or leadership understand. And I think it's hard for others to kind of comprehend it. But when I got the job, everything was just such a rush. You know, we had 3 players on our roster, and it was such a rush from really me individually with a little bit of help, right, from our then director of ops and video coordinator, putting together a team. And while I was putting together a team and rushing to do that, I was trying to put together a coaching staff, and everything just felt very rushed. And we were fortunate enough to go to Croatia last August, but even that was rushed, our preparation, because we have a brand new team, and I'm just trying to make sure we are on the same page a little bit on offense and on defense, just to be able to go play a game. So, at the end of this season, well, one, our recruiting our freshman class, it was a group that I had known for years. Our coaching staff had a big hand in that. Recruiting out of the portal this spring was very much how it should be, right? It wasn't just me in the portal, it was our whole staff sifting through and navigating the transfer portal. And from where I sat, I just felt like there was so much more control. We were going at the pace we wanted to go at. We could properly evaluate, properly vet, and properly talk about the things that are important in the recruiting process and how this program is going to operate with our newcomers. Where when I took over the job, I was just grabbing people to field a roster with the hope that things would work out, with the hope that my conversations with them would inspire them on the court. And again, I think I had some good conversations with players last year off the court, and there was a disconnect on the court.
Mm-hmm. And, you talk about a lot of the new players you've added. Specifically in the post, what I noticed, you bring in Aaliyah Sorrentino, Megan Olbrys, 2 established veteran post players. What have they kind of brought into the team where, last season in the post with Lily Talale, Chineye Odenabo, both of them playing a lot of minutes, but just as freshmen, still so much to learn. Has it been super helpful to have Megan and Aaliyah there to help, Chineye continue to develop? Jess Ross, one of the other post players who's a freshman this season. What has it been like having that veteran leadership?
Oh, I think there's just more talent, to be honest with you. And Chineye started last year off really strong, especially when we were in Croatia and when we got back to campus. Had an injury, but she finished the year really strong. I think started the last 5 or 6 games and really has such a high ceiling. But Aaliyah and Meg are both good. They've done it. They've done it at good programs. Aaliyah can score it, and Meg just brings such a personality and is all over the place on the court. Both have added talent, and Jess has come in and has a lot of talent and is long at 6'3". She can shoot it a little bit. So I feel like we've just upgraded talent in our front court. which makes a big difference. And our guards, even early this season, we're 11 practices in. We're asking the guards to get the ball inside. They're doing a great job getting the ball inside. And our post group, the whole group, Lily Ferguson, Jess, Meg, Aaliyah, and Chi, have done a great job being really physical. I think we're going to be able to wear some teams down just because of our physicality, and it's something that they've embraced as a group, and I'm unbelievably proud about that and excited for them.
Yeah, you mentioned that physicality, something that I feel like we got a really good glimpse of for Chineye Odenigbo in the Rhode Island game on the road last year, where they had Maya Torre at the time, Anael Dutat, two of the most physical forwards in the league, and she absolutely took them, matched their physicality in every way. Do you feel like that game and that season kind of fueled her to become, one of the most trustworthy starters in the post last season?
Well, I referenced that game. I talked with her about that game as we were in that game. How I didn't want her to get discouraged and how this physicality was only going to help prepare her for who she needs to be in the future. And I referenced that game many times at the end of last season because I think it really resonated for her as she was going through it. Magbasa and Mai Torre were so physical with her. And I think she handled it well, and she needs to know that that's what other players need to feel when they're playing against her. And I think when you go through difficult moments or physical times like that game, it makes you stronger, and it should give you confidence. And again, I thought Chineye did a great job just with her presence alone to finish out the year.
You've got a little bit under a month now before the season officially begins. You've got an exhibition October 28th against Assumption. I know as a coach you can never get too much practice time in the preseason. How do you feel like the team is doing in terms of, understanding the system, building that team chemistry? I don't want to compare to last season, but I guess just from where your expectations are, how do you feel like they're doing, meshing right now with still a good amount of time left in the preseason?
Well, I think, one, I'm doing a much better job being clear and direct with my expectations. And, I do want our players, and I talk about it at length, to enjoy everything about this experience, but I want that also to be about being successful on the court and winning, and I don't want to forget that. So I've been really direct and clear. I told our players, I was going to challenge them this preseason, and they can expect like a heck of a lot of urgency from me on the court because we're going to be prepared. November 4th is our first game at Harvard. I have that circled on my calendar. We're going to be prepared to go in there and to stand toe-to-toe with Harvard, and I look forward to that. And yes, we have the exhibition game on the 28th, but I've been really pleased. They're meeting my expectations on a daily basis. I haven't been afraid to push this group. We have a press in. We're putting a lot of offenses in. Like, I want to challenge these our players physically, mentally, emotionally, and they've done a great job handling that. And I've not been afraid to push. And I think as a staff, because we've been together for a year now, we've been a lot more detailed in our preparation and a lot more detailed in the way we want things done. So there's a clear identity of who we are on the court, and I'm excited about it.
From a roster construction standpoint, able to bring in a lot of veteran front court presence type of players. You lose some veteran point guards in Tori Hyduke and Alexia Rose, but you bring in a lot of new talent at the point guard position as well. You've got Momo Leclerc, who is is a guard herself. I know you probably can't tell us who you're looking to start and may not even know yet, but has there been any sort of inkling for you, whether it be internally or something you've told the team of, like, we're starting to find who our starting point guard could be?
I think we're starting to see some separation at practice, and as we move from more of teaching practices to more of competing, right, on the court, and we pick up the pace at practice, there will be separation. But for me, Yamani McHale, freshman point guard, has come in and done a fantastic job. So coachable. Mo LeClaire, you've mentioned. Momo's been awesome. Again, understanding what we want to do, and I think Yamani and Mo, they do, and now it's just being consistent with it. And I've been pleased with their coachability and their communication and staying on the same page.
Yeah.
Allie's handled the ball a little bit for us, which has been great, just to kind of broaden her skill set. And then Casey Bertonis, one of our other freshmen, she's working her way back from an injury that she had at the end of the high school year, and she's getting closer and closer to seeing the court at practice in live settings, and we're hopeful in the next week or two she's back. I think that adds some depth. So I've been really pleased with the group and who we're becoming, and keeping an eye on the future, understanding what we're going to continue to need to bring in to be successful. And I think my staff and I are on the same page on that.
And I guess last thing roster wise, Steph Kuleja and Lily Ferguson, two of the most veteran players on the team. Also two players that have shown their versatility in past seasons, with both of them playing really anywhere from the 2 to the 5, I guess, at times. Do you hope that they can carve out more of a solidified role this season, or is their versatility, in your mind, going to play a huge factor again this year?
Well, I mean, I really appreciate, and obviously I spoke about those two last year, just appreciated them being here and understanding me and understanding what I want done, and them trying to help me deliver that message. I think both are such team-first players that they were very eager to accept the challenge when I had to ask them to switch some positions, last year, just because of injuries that we sustained. My hope for both of them is they have a much, I guess I'm asking them to do a little bit of that less, and they can really focus in on 1 or 2 positions and show their strengths that way. And I think we're on the right track for them to do that, and I can put them in positions to be successful. So, but I've been really pleased with both their, again, effort, who they've been as teammates, as competitors, and both certainly make our team better.
I do want to ask you, recently the A10 preseason poll came out. Obviously, I was talking to Allie about this as well, but ranked, I think it was 13th in the preseason poll. A lot of that just solely based off of last season. How much as a head coach do you use that as fuel, or more so are you on the side of, don't pay attention to that, don't worry about that, that's irrelevant?
Yeah, I really, I was at A10 Media Day yesterday and forgot that the poll was coming out, because I don't care where we're picked in the preseason. I've been in championship games as the 1 seed in the preseason. I've been in championship games as the 8 or 9 seed. It's irrelevant to me. I talked with Steph a little bit, and I asked her if she thought I should address the group, and she didn't think I needed to. It was no big deal. My focus is the non-conference first, and when conference time comes, if we need the extra motivation, I'll be happy to use it. But I know who we are. I know what has won in this conference, and I really like the direction we're going. And for us, it's about just continuing to get better, continuing to stick together. And if we can just remember, the goals and the goal of winning and making sure we're having a really good experience and getting better on the court every day, we'll put ourselves in great position. If we can keep focused on that, good things are really going to happen.
And last question I have for you. You talk about the non-conference schedule. In your press conference last week, you were talking about how you feel like it's a more regional, more appropriate schedule for a team like UMass. Last year, a lot of long bus rides, that sort of thing. But not only that, but also a lot of reunions for both you, your coaching staff, Holy Cross on there for Coach Fitzgerald, or for Coach Fitz. You've got BC Northeastern for you, Jess George, a rematch with her with UNH. How much are you looking forward to a lot of those games?
Well, I do. I always think that we have so many really good schools regionally that I try and play. That, like Harvard, Boston College, Northeastern. It's awesome that they want to play each year, and I think it's really appropriate rivalries. Believe me, I call Providence all the time. I call Boston University all the time, and they don't return phone calls. They don't want to play. And I said, guys, we had 5 wins last year. Let's get this going, and they still don't want to play us. I love the fact that we're playing Siena. Albany doesn't want to play us. And I'm not quite sure why. So there's enough schools here regionally that we should make those rivalries happen. I was so excited to play Holy Cross because they're 45 minutes down the road, and we'll travel enough in conference. So a majority of that schedule is what I envision for us every year. And then you're going to mix in a tournament, next year. We're already slated to go down to FIU right before Christmas. Unbelievably excited about that, getting down to South Beach again and playing a woman at FIU who I coached when I was at Boston University. So I think if we can create and continue to have regional rivals, make those games happen, mix in a tournament or two, if it's a really good schedule, we know we're traveling enough in the conference season that it makes sense.
And you mentioned the FIU tournament. For any UMass fans that have been here for a couple of years, they know how well that went last time around. One of the best games I've ever watched of basketball. Not women's college basketball, not women's basketball as a whole, basketball in general. It was a tremendous overtime win against Drake and then winning the tournament against FIU. So looking forward to that next season, but we've got a whole season in front of us before we get to that. Thank you so much, Coach Leflar, for joining us here at the Quarters. Thank you to George Myers and the Quarters for having us. We're going to hopefully do this a whole lot this season. So for Josh Schreiber, John Ruggiero, who's manning the production for us, we'll see you next time here for 91.1 WMUA Sports.